Hello there, champions. Tyrone, that was for you. My name's Christian Payne. Really excited. Today I'm going to talk about joint ventures, how they work, how to set one up, and what do you need to make a successful one. So let's go. And before we begin, I want to be really clear. This isn't legal advice. This is information if you're going to seek legal advice. Okay, so let's all be cool. Let's all be Fonzie, and we're all adults. So this is not legal advice. First step, what do you bring to the table? And what I mean by that is, if there's you and there's me, what's this in the middle? Because you want that to be as thin or as minimal as possible, because otherwise you could just do you, or I could just do me. It doesn't matter. But you want to be really clear, like what are you good at and what am I good at? Another way, or a way I've seen this work really well, in this sort of scenario where you So you've got in one section the thought leader, subject matter expert, the person who knows what this is all about. You've got a person who could do sales, okay? And you've got the person who can do the execution or the delivery. And so you can see where this is a good sort of mix of talents, because, thought leaders I've spoken to, I'll say, oh yeah, I can do sales. And I'll go, that's great, because a salesperson can do 200 phone calls a day and not break a sweat. So is that what you're saying you do? Because if you ask a good salesperson, they'll go, oh yeah, I did that 3 times last week. Okay, so thought leaders think they can do sales, but for me, I want to see, you might be able to do a little bit, but I really want to see some runs on the board. Can you do it properly? And the execute and the delivery, it doesn't matter what it is. Someone who can do this well can execute it, can unpack the steps and can make stuff happen. Okay, so that's a really good example of showing, who brings what to the table. Values aligned, and what I mean by that is what's important to you the same as what's important to them. And this could be around profitability, the customer, who you serve. I've seen people before who sort of want like a charity, or I just want to help people, and there's others who want to make money, and there's not one who's right or wrong, but you just want to be the same. And a good example for me is, I'll talk about this in a sec, but perfect is the enemy of done. Now, I want the product out there. I want to get this thing up and running. I don't want to wait around. And I have worked with other people who want to sort of go off in hiding and want to batten down the hatches and get it right or perfect or, whatever. But for me, it's very expensive, burns a lot of cash, and the end result makes no difference. Like, it's not better because you took all this time making it be perfect. So, make sure your values are aligned. Exit plan. Now, you might start off, and hopefully you do start off, as all positive and rosy cheeks and things are going to be amazing and rah. But, what happens if things get a bit curly? What happens if some expectations aren't met? Like, who owns what, or, what's going to go on? How do things break up? It doesn't have to be a painful process, but I can guarantee if you leave it, if you ignore it, it absolutely will be painful. And along with the exit plan is a time limit, or time box it. And so again, put some healthy boundaries. Like, you're getting into this thing, this agreement or business or whatever it is together. How long do you want to test that for? It might be 3 months, could be 6 months. It doesn't matter how long. But again, just be really clear on your expectations of, okay, we're going to give this a solid effort for the next 6 months. And write it down, okay? And it seems really, obvious or something, but this never, ever happens. And what I mean by that is clearly obtain legal advice if that's what you need. But you want to know 3 things, what's the agreement? How long will this last? and then what happens? Okay, it's pretty simple. So if we go sort of a level down or a level below that, what's the agreement? Is it a job description? That's a really, really good start. Who's going to do what? What's some accountability around that? What's some deliverables? That kind of thing. And it's not to catch someone out or anything like that. You can still have that sort of optimistic attitude, but it's to make a person accountable because, and I've had this before, is if I do a lot of work up front, and then they don't, there's some sour grapes there. And so it's very hard to build things back. So job description, talk about revenue. Are you splitting revenue? What are the revenue goals, targets, that kind of thing? IP, who owns what? Software, if it's an app, software is very unique to not what you think. Okay, so the developer, unless explicit, the developer owns a lot in my experience. So be really aware and just be clear who owns what. If there's a divorce, if things have to separate, how's that going to work? A company worth can be really important and like a conceptual share price, because you can think, this thing is worth, 100 grand and you own 60% of it and I own 40%. And what if you're going to have a capital injection of 200 grand? Like, what happens then? And so you want to make sure, it's all on the same page. And lastly is ownership. Who owns what? Just how do you want to split that? And I don't want to overcomplicate this step, because it can be just as simple as an email. I've definitely done this before. Hey, Christian, thanks for yesterday. Great to meet you. Just confirming a few points, and bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. If things get messy and you get legal, at some point first thing they're going to say is, well, what was the agreement? And that email, if nothing else, that email is there. A date was sent. It was sent from you to me or whatever. There was no reply, or there was no whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, but those steps become vital if you need to unpack or whatever. Cool. So how do you do it? How to apply, or how do you get a joint venture? And it's really quite simple. Simple email like this. Hi, Christian. Thanks for your time. Just a connection. Don't go in cold. Just connect somehow. Quick question. So, tell me what you want. Don't waste my time. I'm working on what is it? I think we'd be a great match. Why? Tell me why. If you're interested, let me know. What are the next steps? Okay, you need to be explicit on that. And I've seen this a lot, non-disclosure agreements. And for me, I'm dead set against them. And the main reason is, what do you think we're going to talk about that's secret, or that's something, that doesn't make sense? It goes back to the what is it, okay? That's super, super important, because I don't need to know the nuts and bolts. I don't need to get into it. I want to hear the pitch as a customer. Does this make sense? Is this something I would buy? And if you can't articulate it now, or if you're trying to hide that or something, or it's just a bit weird. What are you protecting? It doesn't make sense. And for me, it means your mindset is in the wrong spot. You're spending time protecting, or you're spending time doing something other than getting the product ready, the product out the door. Because, all I care about is, how do I make my money back? Or when do I get paid? That's all I care about. So if you're too worried about protecting something, that's weird in my book. Cool. So, in summary, write down the job descriptions. What do you bring to the table? Make sure your values are aligned. Have an exit plan. Describe the time frame. We're going to review this in 3 months, or we're going to review this in 6 months, or if nothing changes in 6 months, the agreement continues. Doesn't matter what it is. Just have it clear. Document. And don't overcomplicate it. And this is, where I say perfect is the enemy of done. Cool. So I hope that's helpful. My name's Christian Payne. Good luck.